So when I first got the call to do foreign exchange, how the whole how the whole process happened, it wasn't like an overnight thing. So when I was at NCCU still, it was my junior year. At the time, I was music director for this singer named Carlitta Durand. Now, Carlitta Durand had sang with Little Brother. She had sang on the Get Back album already. My freshman year, I already had a relationship with Ninth Wonder because I took him and Play from Kid and Play's class. So I used to just like pop up in the studio on Ninth Wonder like all the time. He had a studio on campus. He was also working with this rap group, these cats out of DC called M1 Platoon. So I had that relationship, and then I had Carlita Durand's relationship. And then we did a tour together. So it was Carlita Durand and M1 Platoon. And shortly after that tour, Carlita she got called to be one of the singers for the Foreign Exchange, which was really dope. So as they were working out all those particulars, they were coming to Durham. No, not Durham, Chapel Hill. They were coming to Chapel Hill to do a concert, and they was like, well, yeah, just go ahead and open the show. So that was the first time we met them. So, we was Carlita's band. It was already sweet because Foreign Exchange had a full band, the same amount of people as we had. They had 2 keys, bass, guitar, and drums. We only had 1 keys. But so we went in, did the show. We got to chill with them. I got to build with them, meet everybody. It was cool. Then me and Carlita came to Charlotte with them because they played the Double Door at the time. They did a show for MySpace at the Double Door. So we, like, literally right after that show, we came here and, we didn't perform or nothing like that, but we was just with them. So that was still a cool experience. And then Carlita left to do the Foreign Exchange tour with them. When she came back, there was this big, I don't even know if they still do it, but there's this big convention in like the Raleigh area called the Spark-On, like Spark-On convention or whatever. And it's like a bunch of like different random stuff. So it was like, I think like comic book Spark, and that would be one place, and then like car Spark one day. But it was just like a bunch of like random ideas, but the whole thing was whatever idea Spark, the Spark-Con. So this cat named DJ Gonzo, producer, he worked with M1 Platoon and everything, so we had a relationship with him already. He was like, well, I want to do something called Soul Spark. And he put together this idea, and basically he had all the individual singers from Foreign Exchange do their own set, who at the time was Darian Brockington, Yazara, Carlita, and instead of having Fonte do a set, he had Fonte be the host. So Fonte was basically the face of the show. And since we was Carlita's band, he was like, why don't y'all just be the band for everybody? So we already knew Carlita's set, so that was cool. So D-Rock came in, we learned all his music, we did his rehearsals. Yazra came in and we did all her rehearsals. And that was crazy because I think like working with Yazra for the first time, I think that was my first time working with one of them singers who knew her music down to the T. So she was like one of those, no. The hi-hat pattern does this right here, and then you switch to this like right there. No, you're supposed to be playing a B flat chord right there. No, I'm actually supposed to be, there's no 9 in the chord for what I like. She was like on that type of stuff. And like, it was, for some of the guys in the band, it was like intimidating. For one of the guys in particular, it was annoying, but for me, I loved it because I was like, this is the level of professionalism that I was like wanting to work on anyway. So I was studying that music. And I think at the time, all the Making His Band thing, so Chris Key was already on like the Making His Band show, and like all my homies was like off doing like tours at the time. So it was just like, I knew that this was, what I was doing with this show was representative of where I wanted to go. So I would sit in my room and I would just be studying those records. So I think like Yazra was like the thing I was most nervous about for that whole show. And the show was crazy. I'm talking about, it was sold out, packed out. D-Brock show was dope. Carlita's show was dope. Yazra's show was dope. Fonte was hilarious as a host. We got to vibe with him just cause like the band, I had the band like learn like a couple foreign exchange grooves or whatever. So like he got up and he rapped with us. So that was a crazy experience. So I had a good relationship now with everybody from the foreign exchange. So a couple months after that, it was the week of Valentine's Day, 2010. And it was, I think Valentine's Day was on a Sunday. Yazra called me on a Wednesday. I was at church rehearsal. I remember because I was playing for University City Church of God in Christ at the time. I was at church rehearsal and Yazra called me and I recognized the number because I hadn't spoken to her in a little while. So I ran out. I was like, hey, what's going on? What's up? And she was like, Tim, we got a situation. Biscuit, who was the drummer for the Foreign Exchange, Biscuit just had a death in the family. And we got a show at Cat's Cradle, which is the place where we opened for them a year ago. We got a show at Cat's Cradle on Sundays. We doing Valentine's Day. Do you know Leave It All Behind? I said, the song? By the Foreign Exchange? She said, no, the album. I said, yeah, I know. I listen to it every day. I brush my teeth to that song, to that whole record. She was like, great. We need you to play the show if you down. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm there. I'm there. She was like, cool, we gonna rehearse on this day in Chapel Hill and then the show is on Sunday. I'll see you at rehearsal. Man, I don't think I slept that whole week. I don't think I slept at all because like the same way like I sat and I like dissected all of her music, I did the same thing because even though I met Fonte a couple times, I could tell about him that he was going to be as particular as Yazra had been about her music. And from the interactions, I had good interactions with him, but I also knew like Fonte was kind of he was a tough one to crack. So I wanted to make a real good impression with however I walked in on rehearsal. So I mean, when I say I sat with Leave It All Behind album and I sat with the first record that they did, Connected. I was on YouTube and fortunately at the time, like there was people going to foreign exchange shows and recording song by song by song by song and putting it on YouTube. Foreign Exchange playing Nick's Groove at this spot in Brooklyn. Foreign Exchange playing this song at this spot in Brooklyn. Like it would be from the same show. So I was studying the videos. I was studying the records. I was studying like what was the differences from how they was playing. Was they doing any different interpretations from their records to the live shows? Like I was paying attention to everything. So when I walked in rehearsal, I was just like, I had like such a database in my head about everything that they was doing. Every time they called a song, I was like, there, cool, got you. I think rehearsal might have lasted 90 minutes to 2 hours. Because Tay just walked in, he was like, all right, cool, let's kick off this. And we would play it for a little bit. All right, cool, let's get to how we going to end it. And then we would play the ending. He was like, all right, cool, let's do the next one. And he was just like so cool about everything. I was like, he is not giving me any input at all. So it was like, I was like, this has to be a good thing because he wasn't ripping me up. And Yazra she seemed happy the whole rehearsal. D-Brock seemed happy with the whole rehearsal. It was good seeing them again. Zoe, who was their music director at the time, he was cool. Like, it was to the point, like, Zoe was like playing with me because like Nicolay does a whole lot of like odd time signature stuff. And there was this song in 7 called House of Cards. And we playing it, and I look over at Zoe, and he over there doing like this, like moving off beat, like throw me off. I'm like, y'all playing, this is rehearsal, and I'm trying not to embarrass myself, like y'all playing. So it was like the whole vibe was just cool. I drove back up for the show. Again, another sold out show, and it's crazy because you know, Foreign Exchange, or the roots of Foreign Exchange, started at Central with Fonte and Little Brother, all of them being from NCCU. So anytime they have a show in that triangle area, it's always ridiculous just because that's home base for them. And I was so nervous because it was so many NCCU people who didn't know that I was going to be playing the show. So like it was like just the vibe in there was crazy. The energy was crazy, and it went so well. And I remember their manager, Nicolay's wife, when she handed me my check, she was like, yeah, we're going to be calling you again. I was like, okay, cool. So that's how the whole thing started. And then the next time that I got a call from them was a couple months later. They had a new album coming out called Authenticity. And they was like, yeah, we want you to come play our album release up in New York. I was like, cool. And that was crazy because the vibe of Authenticity was a little bit different from the last two albums that they had done. So I really had to sit. I remember it was one joint that kicked my butt. It's this song in 5, but like it's just like one of them. It was like one of the weird things for me because I had been listening to the types of music I just got out of school. I've been studying jazz with Branford Marsalis and Joey Calderazzo and all like the crazy legends that they was bringing through the school. I'm talking about they was bringing David Fathead Newman from Ray Charles band through, people like Antonio Hart, crazy saxophone player, people like I got a chance to sit down and you know Jimmy Cobb, who played drums for Miles Davis, and Joe Chambers, who played drums with Miles Davis, and Carmen Lundy and Jerry Allen. I mean, they was just always bringing legends through. So I was so deep into that, and I just could not hear how to play this song. It was killing me. Like I couldn't tell where one is, and because it's just like got like a crazy thing to it, like where I felt like one was, or where I felt like where one actually was, I thought was like on an upbeat. I'm not gonna go into that, but I basically couldn't figure the song out because it was destroying me. But like I said, that whole situation ended up being really cool, and I think between that record coming out and the next tour that I did, I think I had only not played one show with them. And then when I did the tour with them in May, a couple months later, like halfway through the tour, they was like, yeah, so we was talking and like we just gonna go ahead and make you full time. I was like, cool. You know what I'm saying? That was what I had been waiting for. You know what I'm saying? That was what I had been working for. And I think that was like the big shift in my, in my career. Cause like, just being out is when I started meeting all kinds of cats, and being out with them is when I started, that's when cats start hitting you up. Cats who you've admired for however long, and cats you've been following on Facebook start hitting you up like, oh, yo, I love Foreign Exchange. They going to be in the city. Like, is it cool if I come through? Yes, it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I just met like a whole bunch of people, man. So that's how that whole experience started. And man, I can go on and on and on about all the memories that I got just from being on that tour, just all the knowledge that I was able to take in, and all the different experiences I was able to have. But the Foreign Exchange, man, that's how it all got started. That's how I started touring.